So the executive team looks at things obviously different than the plant engineer, plant manager, et cetera. Excuse me. They're trying to manage the organization, the business, as efficiently as possible. They want to maximize profit, minimize cost, and just proceed through the world, getting as much, maximizing the revenue for the organization. Now, in reality, they are beginning to start to worry about cybersecurity because of the risk, as we were just talking about. They're looking at external threats, insider risk, right? Insider threat is a real problem in the world, and there are all kinds of examples of that you can Google, and business continuity. But I would even add to this bulleted list maintaining your brand throughout something bad can still happen, and yet you can, how you respond to a breach can actually enhance your brand. And the thing that pops in my mind is the Norsk Hydro ransomware attack that was back in 2020, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And basically this was the textbook response. The whole company pitched in. They were fully transparent. Everyone knew what was going on. They did not want to pay that ransomware. They did not pay that ransomware, and everything, and they just decided to go back to backups and move on from there. And it was an expensive process to go through because of an email phishing attack. But in the end, in the cybersecurity world, at least, Norsk Hydro has their brand is now elevated because of how they responded to that particular attack. Scott, I don't know if you have anything.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's from an executive team. I think it comes back to the exact same thing we talked about from the other, is when I look at the incident response plan, it should include what's our response as an executive team, right? What are we willing, and take ownership of driving what our response is. That Norsk is a great example of that, right? They took complete ownership of what we're going to do, what we're not going to do, and what this is going to mean. And while at the time of the event, reputationally they were under attack and it was hitting them, but post event I don't think their reputation could be stronger. They're guys that achieved what they needed. They went through an incident. They did not allow them to be lingering victimhood, is the best way I can put it, right? They're not seen as exposed. And I think a lot of times what we see a lot of times with incidents is that first reaction is let's hide it, let's not happen.
Yeah.
Let's
Put up the walls.
Put up the wall. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Let's get into siege mode.
Yeah.
And I'll give you another example of a pretty, and this is from a slightly different perspective, but I was very proud of the way FireEye handled their incident when it happened through the SolarWinds attack, right? Yeah. They were very open with everybody. They communicated, here's what's happened, here's how we got exposed. We had tools out, and it was the right response because he communicated what happened, what are the recourses, what was at risk, and everybody was able to formulate the right appropriate follow-up action from that. So there's you look at the history of events on that, and I don't want to necessarily embarrass, but there's quite a few examples of people who didn't go that way, right. And the other yeah. I mean, and I think that's really key. I mean, just really understanding what your role is and really what we're going to do in case of event. I think that's what people need to think through.